this video, I want to talk about the spider energy. And before we start with the spider energy and the dark mother, how it may be symbolizing the dark mother, I just want to say that obviously for the sake of this video, I am going to use the spider in the shadow form, not necessarily in a neutral or positive aspect to represent the dark mother and it's going to become clear as we go. Also, the different energies that I may mention, like Ursulid, Thor, Kali, Hecate, and so on, when we think about the dark mother, just know that we are using these energies, these deities or luases, they're very multifaceted, they're very vast, and in this video is going to sound more as if they are in the darker aspect, because that is the purpose of the video, to explain the dark mother through the symbolism of the spider and how some of these energies may represent the dark mother. So, but not because they are only in the dark aspect. So I want that to be clear. I also want to just put a disclaimer that although I've been working on this for a while, the material for this video for many months, I wrote the piece, is on my blog post, and then I decided to do the video. So I'm going to be also reading a little bit from the blog post, because I am able to put my thoughts together better when I sit down and write than when I lose myself. I'm very visual, so when I lose myself in looking at the camera and all of that, I get distracted. So if you want to read the whole blog post, it's a very very long blog post, because I think it requires the depth that we go through to really capture some of these essential things about the symbolism of the spider, how it may be representing the dark mother, but also just know that I still feel like this is still a very collapsed way to see the dark mother. There is more dimension to the dark mother that I'm keeping from the video and from the article, because otherwise it's going to be something much longer and involved that may feel like we are collapsing too much into a specific article or video. So I want to try to keep this as, it's not going to be brief, but as rational and logistically as possible. So the dark mother, let's consider the comfort, the routine, and the way that we create a nest, our home, our place of work, to the point where we feel so much comfort, there is safety in the comfort, that we may not really be able to be willing to depart from the comfort that we experience in these different aspects of our lives. So in this safety, in this comfort, there is a little bit of seduction that comes through, isn't it? I can feel the seduction in that. I don't know if you can, but I'm trying to bring, when you feel the safety that cocoons you, there is an embrace, and sometimes it can be so suffocating. Even though it's suffocating, the person's still in comfort because they know what they know, which is easier to grasp than what they don't know, because there is fear of the unknown. I hope that makes sense. And in my mind, it makes sense. So we wear the mask of so many different things, and the routine, the comfort, the safety, the jobs, the people that we don't want to leave, the situations that we don't want to evolve from, may be cocooning us, nurturing us, seducing us into an aspect, protecting us to make us believe that this is better than the unknown, right? There is a fear in the unknown that we want to fight with, but the safety of the comfort, even when there is a lot of disruption in that safety, and we can feel it, this might be completely panic, terror in the safety, but at least we know what it is, right? So there is safety in the knowingness, right? So in this blog post, in this video, I'm going to really focus on the archetype of the spider as it manifests amongst different cultures from not only 21 divisions, obviously, because that is my base. If yeah, if maybe even um, Hinduism, right, through the work of the different deities from India, as well as some other things that are going to come up naturally. So obviously, Amazonian shamanism, because that is also a lot. I'm very heavily involved with some of that work myself, and a lot of my clients experience a lot of psychedelics and sacred trances, so that there is a wealth of rich information that I've been experiencing myself and capturing through my clients for many years now. So I think combining all of these pieces are going to give us a really good insight into what is the dark mother. So let's first define the dark mother, right? Like um, what the dark mother may mean, like cultural manifestations of the dark mother. The dark mother, the shadow, is not necessarily the shadow of the feminine, which I think a lot of people confuse that, but the dark mother is the shadow of the gray mother, not the feminine energy per se, which is not, some people might think, oh, the dark feminine. No, this is not the dark feminine. This is the dark mother archetype, the boring mother, the monster mother, the mother that will completely keep you trapped. It will devour you in many ways that we may not even consider. And sometimes as a mother, I know that it's very easy for us to do that, even when we don't have those intentions, because it is done unconsciously a lot of the time. So the divine mother, or the great mother, sometimes known as the truth mother, is an authentic expression that represents unconditional love, abundance, just really wanting to express the creation, the forces of creation of the universe. Excuse me. So the ultimate expression of the truth mother, the great mother, is this divine creator that is able to liberate us and free us, right? So there is a lot of nurturing energy there, but anything in excess can become completely insane, right? So it becomes part of the shadow. So the devouring, or devouring, however you pronounce that, the devouring mother, that it sounds French in my head, and I know the way that I'm pronouncing it is completely different, but in my head it sounds fancy. So anyways, the dark mother that is consuming, all consuming, entrapping, encasing us, is doing a lot of these things, sometimes unconsciously. It's unlike the true great mother that gives and expects nothing in return, that the boring mother that is all consuming is giving us conditional love. If you are a good child, I will give you continual safety and love and protection. But if you fall out of line with me, I'm going to remove that, right? So I think he also is a little obviously narcissistic, because oh my God, we do that with people too. Like I can only give you love if I get X in return, right? So there is a lot of expectations in the way. So the great mother's love is empowering, but the dark mother's love is going to drain us. It's like a vampire draining us. So where does the energy of the dark mother with its quality and its appearance, her conditional love, the demanding loyalty, right? The sacrifices we have to make to continue to be in a codependent situation with her, relationship with her, right? So her abundance comes with strings attached. And there's going to be a give and take. There's going to be a feeling of I owe you, right? I cannot have freedom in this relationship because there is always going to be a part of me that owes you. Oh, that could be in our head, that could be what it is, right? Sometimes people have that twisted, but that's a story for another day. So the nurturing that keeps her, the dark mother's children, in a state of permanent infancy where we are unable to function without her, right? So we have to really think, because this is psychological at the psyche level. Do we see ourselves as an adult? Do we see ourselves as a child? And the dark mother energy is not just because of the relationship that we have with our mothers in this life. And I mean mothers because it's not just a mother. If we're raising up like Latinos are raised with grandparents, aunts, and the people that marry into the family that become aunts and uncles, and so we have an extended family. In some cultures, sometimes people will go through also becoming orphan, and they are raised by guardians that are not blood related, but they take the presence of the mother in the psyche from this life, right? But also, what is the absent mother performing in your life, right? And then the soul's experiences of mothers throughout many different experiences are going to come together with the past lives, in between life situations, what we think about the mother in general, and then these life experiences, and also our life if we are mothers too, or aunts, right? So what is the energy, the pattern that we see within the mother when we think of mother within ourselves? Like, what do we envision? Now, the thing is that a lot of the time we may see our mother as, oh my God, amazing. But when we start doing a lot of healing work, we may get to the point where we see where sometimes we also have to see the shadow of our mother, even if they're amazing. So, but if it is overwhelming to the point where now I'm blaming my mother for everything, even though I had a good relationship with her, I may be dealing with a dark mother archetype within my psyche that I didn't even know I had to confront, right? So, what I'm saying is, this is not just, don't look at it linearly, look at it as a bubble with different things of information coming in to give us the idea of what we, with everything that makes us, we consider the mother. So not just from my ego perspective, but also from the unconscious parts of me that may be looking at my mother in a specific way, even though consciously I think I have a relationship with my mother that is this way. Unconsciously, I may have a completely different experience about what is the mother that is completely contracting and fighting with the part of me that says my mother is this way. So there is this tension internally, right? And as we work with that tension, we come to become aware of what is this energy, right? So why is it important for us to know this? Because in the process of awakening, we have to confront our internal parent figures, the mother and the father, right? That eventually, in some aspects, can create a critic archetype within us, the inner voice that says you suck, you're nothing, or that inflates you, that steals consume from you because now you're in a completely superior aspect of seeing yourself that is no balance, right? So when we are in doing meditation trances, or people are doing psychedelics and sacred plant medicine, sometimes what they see is the energy of the spider. I'm going to jump quickly into that because I don't want to spend 2 hours here. So the energy of the spider, people may experience that energy and they may be thinking like, oh, I have a spider animal, like a power animal coming online now, and they may bypass completely the teaching, the knowledge that has to come from this energy of the spider. And the dark mother, when I think about the dark mother and the spider energy, immediately I think of Anansi, but which is from the African traditions, right? So the web of deception. So in the West African mythology, we have the Anansi energy, the spider trickster energy that I have written about before. I don't know if I did a video about this before, but anyways, there is this Anansi spider trickster energy that doesn't mean that it's good or bad. It can be neutral. It's neutral, right? All of these energies are neutral, but we see them through the lens that we need to recognize, right? That we need to work through, and so on. So when I talk about Anansi in this case and how she's weaving, right? She weaves these webs, and she really is using the webs to catch the prey, right? And so certainly it also represents the intricate connection, the network of obligation when we work with some of these energies, right? The debt that we owe, the karmic entanglement that we're becoming part of as we engage with some of these energies that may bind us unconsciously without even our conscious intention, right? So it, we really have to learn to look at it like, okay, I'm coming into this relationship with, for example, in this case, Anansi, and what am I giving in exchange for what? And how might this carry hidden costs that I'm not able to perceive at the moment, right? In exchange for a solution right now that may create bigger problems later, is what I'm saying. So we may be caught in our own schemes, right? We're trying to find a solution for right here, right now, but we're not perceiving the near future or the far future. So the spider web itself becomes a very perfect metaphor for the dark mother operations, right? Because it really is supporting the whole sacred geometry procession. And we really see it as the thread connecting the patterns, the cosmic order of life. And when people see then the spider in psychedelics and sacred medicine, depending on what they're dealing with, they may have an idea of what is it doing. If the person is working through heavy trauma, the spider may be revealing things about how they're caught in those trauma, the trauma and the drama of those experiences. Maybe revealing how the person becomes easily entangled, right? Or how there is a belief that is still weaved in the nervous system of the person that needs to be worked through to be released, right? So there is this, hopefully there is this acknowledgement of what is the spider revealing, but sometimes the person may not know, and sometimes the energy doesn't reveal fully because the person is holding tight to certain things not to allow the energy to be revealed fully. So what is the energy doing when it's showing up, right? Like if we think about the energy, when we think about the 21 divisions, for example, and we look at the way that we may interact with the dark mother, and I want to be careful here because I'm not saying that the maitresas are dark mothers, but they do have certain maitresas, right? There are certain maitresas that embody the dark feminine and the dark mother energy more than some of the other ones, right? Depending on the frequency and the vibration that they show up with, or that you're connecting with these energies, right? So there is also this thing that happens in 21 divisions where the person goes to do certain jobs and now they become a servant of the Lua, but the servant that is being servant because he's afraid of, no, if I don't obey, I'm going to lose my life, I'm going to lose everything. There is fear to the point that I believe the person gets entangled in the web of an energy that is they're not for the advancement of the person, but for the use of vampirism with the person. This is a delicate line that I'm trying to walk here. So within the tradition, we all know that, there is this system of knowledge and relationships with different spiritual forces that can become imbalanced or corrupted, right? Particularly when practitioners lack proper guidance about how to approach these nuances, not from a wounded consciousness. Because if we come, this is the reason why I started doing transpersonal healing and hypnotherapy and trauma healing, because I was seeing a lot of people that they were coming to have easy solutions, to take shortcuts. And then they will go and do the same thing over again. And like, well, what was the point of that if you're not going to take responsibility for your actions? So what I'm saying is when we come to the tradition from a wounded consciousness, and we fail to really understand the boundaries and the discernment that is needed to work with these energies, we can really become entangled with energies that are not really who we think they are, right? So the Mambo de Jugan, the teacher, godparent, are going to be working with you to teach you, hopefully, to teach you that learning the discernment, learning how to question, learning how to serve, learning how to become a mature spiritual person, that you can engage with these energies from a very more elevated thinking, right? But if you do not have a godparent that guides you in that way, you may become even a victim of their nonsense, because they might be the one infusing a lot of fear into the person and saying, you have to do this or you're going to die. Some of those things are true, but most of the 99% of the time they're not true, right? So how do you know when they're true or not true? It depends on the character of the Mambo, the Hugan, the spiritual godparents that are working with you, right? That are working with the person. So this tradition is very sophisticated, and it offers very serious teachings for a very mature spiritual seeker. But when the person comes from an immaturity, from wounded consciousness, they may find practitioners that can be godparents that are not there really doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, and I don't want to bash anyone, but what I'm saying is you really have to pick wisely, because when you come into this tradition and you don't have someone responsible, mature, that is guiding you, you're going to fall victim to energies that are going to feed from you, as if you are, as if there are vampires feeding on humans that don't know any better. So the dark mother can be found through certain energies in any spiritual practices, right? Any, not just 21 division. So when I come with mother or parental wounds, patterns of codependency, enmeshment, I'm going to find people in my path, godparents, that may be not responsible and that may be working with things that are not who they say they are, or that I may engage with these energies. And even though they are what they are to the godparent, to me, they may be something else, because I may be coming in with a very strong codependency issue. And now I'm channeling or working with something that is not really what it is, right? So it's just a warning. So in the Matresa division, we know that there could be dark energies that may be imposing or pretending to be Matresas, right? In any division for that matter, right? So a sophisticated practitioner will guide the spirit, needs to be guided by an experienced elder to learn to recognize the difference between a relationship that is demanding but ultimately empowering versus one that becomes parasitic. That is the key thing. Is it demanding because I'm evolving and growing, or is it just really becoming a parasitic relationship where I give and I supposedly receive, but I don't receive, and things are just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So the crucial teaching here is that the dark mother pattern, spirits, the spirits themselves are really not the problem, right? The Luad are powerful, very complex forces that can be profoundly beneficial, but when approached properly, when approached correctly. So the problem really arises when practitioners project their own unhealed wounds onto these relationships, where they seek the spirit from an internal wound to provide what they don't have psychologically or in the reality, right? And so that's when we can walk a fine line between engaging with forces that are not prepared, that we're not really prepared to work with safely because we don't have the knowing of how to do that. When we come with a wounded consciousness, when we come with wounds hoping to be rescued by these energies, and it's not just one thing but one after the other, right? So elders in the traditions, they really teach through discernment, through the direct experience. They guide initiates in recognizing if they're proper, correct elders. They're going to be teaching how to recognize which spirits are calling them, when they should, which ones they should avoid, how to engage in a healthy relationship, how to avoid corruptive relationship with some of these spirits, right? So they're going to be responsible in a way that are going to be teaching the person beyond the basics of how to call a lua or something like that. And that's not basic, but I mean is besides the magical and the spiritual aspects, they're going to also lead to teaching you about psychological aspects. Because, and now the thing is that this is hard to do because a lot of the mambos and hugans don't, a lot of them are, they learn by doing and by being, not really by studying. And so finding someone that has the ability to teach, not only at the psychological, at the spiritual and religious level, but also at the psychological level, what is a healthy relationship, like how to avoid getting trapped in some of these relationships that are actually not with energies that we think they are, but with trickster energies that are just, draining us. So anyways, I really hope that that this is making sense. So when we look at the energy of the spider through the shamanic traditions, is when it becomes really clear, because in 21 divisions we don't really work with the different power animals like in shamanic traditions, and it is becomes the spider energy becomes very clear when people do psychedelics, when they do secular paramedicines, or when they're really doing a lot of dream work and they are seeing webs or seeing the spiders or seeing insects that are leading them to understand. And sometimes the dreams are so clear. You have a parasite or you have a tumor there. So the person in psychedelics and sacred medicine can see the spider more clearly, the webs and the spider energy sometimes, depending on how much they allow themselves to experience, right? So from the shamanic perspective, the spider is an energy that is different from the mother of the forest, right? Meaning the mother of the forest and the shadow side of the mother, meaning Mother Aya, Mother Earth, Mother La Madre, how it's sometimes known, Mother or Grandmother Ayahuasca, a very feminine presence that teaches, guides, heals, right? However, when the spider shows up, a lot of the time, shamans recognize it as something that needs to be, we need to be cautious about, because it could be parasitic in the way that is draining the person. It might be showing, revealing how it has complete access. A parasite may have complete access to a person, right? So the work reminds me of the work of Luis Eduardo Luna in his work. Obviously, if you study and do any of the ethnographic or anthropology research, you're going to come to his work, because he's definitely one of the main ones, where he noted and wrote extensively about some of these energies and how the visions reveal specific things, like the spider, the black widow, right? A very seductive feminine energy that may appear quite beautiful and very alluring, but is looking to trap the person. It's looking not to trap the person, to trap the soul in a continuous cycle. So these are energies that are understood, not like a metaphor, like in the Western way, but actual energetic beings that exist in the realms through beyond this reality, through the 3D reality, right? And so the spider in Amazonian cosmology has obviously the part that may be showing more of, of the sorcery, the black magic, the manipulation, the entrapment, and also may also be neutral or showing how everything is interconnected. So only the shaman will know what he or she is working with, the medicine man, medicine woman, depending when the energy shows up and what else is happening with the person, what is being revealed, right? So when the energy shows up, it's crucial to let it show up fully as well, because if you stop too fast and you don't really see what is it that is being portrayed, you're not really working the problem. You're just thinking you're working the problem, but it has to really be revealed. Some of the shamans, some of the research done with the Shipibo tribe of, the ayahuasca community, the Shipibo tribe, they talk about how some of these energies are being in spiritual dimensions, spiritual realities, and how they really become parasitic through the use of the Icaros. They will cut the threads to liberate the person, to free the soul from the entrapment of the web of the spider. So when we look at it from the perspective of what could this be? What is the spider really showing? Right? Could it be just a belief system that needs to be completely let go of? Could it be sorcery? Could it be something that happened, ancestral trauma that happened that is still binding the soul, the person at this soul level? What is it that is really happening? So you can read the whole blog on soulhealingtribe.com/blog, and then find the one on the spider symbolism that I just did. If you want to, I highly recommend it, because I'm just going briefly over some of these things. And in the blog post, I give you a lot more information and some of the ethnographic research, so that you have a better sense of what could this be asking of you? What is this energy asking of you, if it's showing up in your dreams or psychedelic experiences, trances, or meditations, right? So I'm going to leave it here for now, and I'll see you all on the next one. Thank you.